We're reconvening in open session. The board took no action on the closed session items. So we're going to go ahead with the flag salute. All stand, please. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we start with item number 5, the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move approval of the agenda.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on any of these items?
Well, I just have one question, and you might not know the answer, that's okay off the bat. But do we know how many students participate in Cadet Corps across the 3 schools? Yeah.
Last time I checked, I feel like it's somewhere between 15 and 20, my memory serving me correctly,
Per site?
district-wide.
Oh, actually, I didn't have any students.
That's not right. That's for electives. I didn't include yours, Kat. Do you know how many at OES?
This year, no, because we haven't started yet. Last year, geez, I want to say we started off with like 20-something. Towards the end, deeper down, but that's only because there was like track and field and the practices were on the same day.
Yeah.
So that part made it.
Yeah, those numbers were because I was looking at elective classes. So I don't know how many are signed up for OES.
Yeah, I'm just curious, just because of the amount for the stipend, $3,000. And so across 3 schools, that's $9,000. So I was just curious per student, how much are we paying for that? Just making sure that we have enough participation in that to justify $9,000 in extra funds. So, and I know it's a great program, I'm not trying to knock it at all, just making sure that it's
Cost benefit analysis?
correct.
Yeah, if it's a daily thing, and then they also do the parades and other events,
Right.
we'd have to get some data.
Microphones. So they can hear.
Oh, turn on your microphone.
Yeah, but
Anything else? Consent agenda?
The whole thing. I just had a question. What's MIC? Under the approval for compensation and additional duties, it said
Madeira induction.
Yeah, Madeira induction. It's formerly known as BITSA. It's for the teachers that are getting their clear credentials.
okay. I just didn't know.
And then they have a mentor teacher.
Oh, and one more thing, not that, I don't know if this is a big deal, and I've never noticed it before, and it might just have gone by me, but on, there was one under well, I have it here, but I didn't make good notes. For the health aid, for the health aid, it just said, Supervisor Jordan Wright, and then in question mark, and then in parentheses, it said Cat Williams question mark, and not that that's a big deal, but is this like a formal form that we need to make sure, does that need to be clarified before we finalize it? Like, I don't know, I'm just asking.
Are you talking about the personnel request?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard because there's a supervisor, but then like they're out of sight, right? And then there's the principal. So did we shore that up at all, Kat, or?
I was hoping somebody would decide once I sent it in.
Yeah.
So no.
Because sometimes the health aid is shared by a few sites. So that might-
Jordan did the hiring. I was not in on it.
Jordan and Scarlett, I
I
think.
really think that Jordan is the supervisor. I mean, like, they do stuff here, but ultimately Jordan has the say in what they are. She trains them.
She trains
tells them
them.
what their duties
Correct.
are. So it should be, Jordan.
And I mean, I just don't know like how, if that needs to be clarified on our documentation.
It's the job descriptions too. I'll double check and see what it says in the job description.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And then on the paraprofessional for WES, I guess, is that Wasuma?
Wasuma?
It just doesn't even have a supervisor. But it's a special ed, so I'm guessing. special ed.
Scarlet.
So anyway, I just noticed that those two things, and I thought, well, I should bring it up in case it's something that we need to fix. Sorry, and I didn't.
It's okay.
Thank you, that's all.
Anything else? And roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. We are on item number 6, the monthly approval of warrants. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move approval.
I'll second.
Any discussion on this? So I wanted to bring up the $3,700 charge on page 5 for the feminine hygiene dispensers, which had to go, each school site had to have one boys' bathroom with a female hygiene dispenser. So I don't know how we're getting away with this. I have printed a letter from the United States Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, and it was issued on February 4, 2025, and it went to all the K through 12 schools and institutions of higher learning. And what this basically says, second paragraph, January 9, 2025, I'll give a copy to the board, and this is Townsend. It says the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Kentucky issued a decision that vacated the entirety of the 2024 Title IX rule nationwide. So this is what the Biden administration put into effect that revised the original Title IX, which was to protect females in sports, etc. So this says that the judgment was immediately effective and no portion of the 2024 Title IX rule is now in effect in any jurisdiction. So my understanding is this is nationwide. So in order to be compliant with this, we shouldn't be having feminine hygiene dispensers in boys' bathrooms.
The law regarding the feminine hygiene is Assembly Bill 367. So it's not Title IX, it's a separate law that tells us we have to do that.
And they're also in the girls' room, so the females can go in the
Yeah,
girls'
that-
restroom and use them. They're not gonna go in the.
Supposed to be, yeah. Yeah, of course.
It's the law. We had Williams monitoring, they said, we're gonna check. This is the law. It went into effect in 2023. We've been out of compliance for several years. If we didn't have it, we would have been docked for that. It would have been a finding. So it's California law. We have to follow it.
Well, I'll be bringing this up because a lot of the policies that we're going to be looking at, the draft policies issued by the California School Board Association, has to do specifically with this Title IX.
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss those when the policies come up.
Yeah.
But as far as the cost for those things, we bought them because we were legally obligated to have those at our facilities. So.
We approve the warrants?
We did.
Okay.
I don't think we did a roll call.
No, I don't think we did roll call. We did.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next item, B, quarterly reports on investments. There's no action on that.
So last time we reviewed the investments, it was through March, so this is April, May, and June. And the attachments are all there as well as the link with the backup at the county treasury. Right now, the county treasury funds are up slightly to 3.7%, and our PARS trust is down a little bit from March. But usually normally when I report on this, one is up, the other is down. It kind of just fluctuates throughout the year depending on volatility of the market and everything.
Is that all there is? Okay. Thank you, Tara. Next item C, Education Protection Act expenses 2024-2025.
I don't know if that's an action item or information item.
doesn't show as action.
But it was on a previous agenda, and then once you end the fiscal year, you have to do a final report on what was spent. The revenues are to be spent on instruction, and ours are used for about 1.3 of FTE of teachers. So that's just showing we spent our full allocation on teacher salaries.
Item D, actuarial study of OPEB liability for the GASB 74/75. That's also for information.
So this is required annually. This is studying the trust that we have where the money was put in for the retiree health and welfare benefit cost. They require you to have a firm do an actuarial study to show whether, basically every district in the state was required to do this because it could be a huge liability on the district's books for the health and welfare benefits for the people who are going to be covered through their retirement. But luckily, our district had the foresight before I even came here to have the trust where we have the investment, and we don't actually have a liability. We have an asset, which I've reported on the last few years. We have above what's needed in the trust for the cost of all our health and welfare benefits for our retirees who were grandfathered in for that. And actually, this year we did take a withdrawal from the trust back to the general fund to help offset the cost of the monthly health insurance bills for the retirees. So now we're able to use that, and it'll help our budget as the years go on. So.
Thank you, Tara. Item 7, hearing of persons wishing to address the board. I don't have any slips that show that anybody wants to speak. Next item is we are opening a public hearing for Resolution 26-5, which is the GAN limit calculations.
Diane, we have to record a time for the start of the
Okay. And 6:14.
So this is one of those annual requirements. There's a resolution that goes along with our unaudited actuals form GAN. Basically, there's a form that calculates and tells whether we met that requirement or not, and we always have. But as part of the law that was passed, I think in the 70s for the GAN limit, this is required to do the resolution. And but that's what's good about when we load our financials into the state software. It'll tell you if that form passes or not, so we know we're in compliance. Basically, it just does the calculation between the salary and benefits and making sure, that the costs were what they should be. There's also an article about the GAN limit if anyone was really interested about it. I used to keep it on the board packet, but then last year that link had expired and I hadn't had time to look for a new one, but I'm sure you could Google it if you wanted some late night reading to help you go to sleep.
So we have to approve this. Is there a motion to approve this?
There's a link for that.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Any questions on this, anyone? Okay, so roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Well, the link that's on there does still work, so you could read up on it.
So did we need to close the hearing?
We have to have a separate hearing for each.
Yeah, and so.
So you have to
it
close the
at
gavel.
6:16.
And then you have to reopen again to the next
I
one.
think we're
supposed to vote outside the hearing.
We did vote on it, didn't we?
Yes, we did vote. I was just saying, I thought that we were supposed to vote outside of the hearing.
Oh, got it.
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, item C is unaudited actuals for 2024.
We gotta go back to the other public hearing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize we had two back-to-back. Okay, so we're opening for another public hearing on Resolution 26-06 regarding sufficiency or insufficiency of instructional materials.
Just record the time.
Time is 6:16.
So we do this every year, public hearing on resolution regarding sufficiency or insufficiency of instructional materials. And this is stating that all of our students have access to standards-based curriculum, whether it be digital or textbook, and they have access in the classroom and then at home. And so the supporting document lists all of the different curriculum and by grade level. So we have all of that. And we for sure have all of that because we just went through Williams Monitoring and they made sure that we had all of it, and we do. There were a couple things you might see on the report, when we get the report on Williams Monitoring, that we had to order, and we just had to show them proof of our purchase order that those things were on the way. I think most of the items that we had to order were here in time for the visit, aside from a couple. But I think since then, principals, I think everything's in. Am I right about that?
I'm waiting on one scholastic order.
One scholastic order. So aside from that, everything's there and we look good. Any questions?
I just appreciate this document. I think it's helpful as a board for us to have this laid out very concisely of what is being used in our district in each level. So thank you.
You're welcome.
We close the hearing, then vote. Okay, close the hearing. And now, close the hearing at 6:18. Roll call vote.
Do we need a motion?
Motion.
I make a motion that we accept the resolution number 2606.
I'll second.
Anybody have any questions on it? Okay, so roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item C, unaudited actuals for 2024 and 2025. This is certification.
So there's a narrative there, but I'm gonna cover everything in my presentation, so I'm just gonna start my presentation. To cast it, hold on.
Are we approving this?
You have to approve that.
Okay, so do I do a motion first? Okay, motion to approve the unaudited actuals.
I'll second.
So now I'll present, and then you'll, okay. So this is the 24-25 unaudited actuals presentation. I usually print it out, but I just got back right before the meeting, so I apologize. This first page has the snapshot. It shows you the variance between what the adopted budget was and then the actual budget when we ended the fiscal year. The most major changes there, as you can see, the biggest one is services and other operating expenditures. So that was more legal services. We had budgeted around $20,000 in legal and ended the year with $166,000. And then our electricity was also $123,000 over budget, as well as some other services that were required where we had to hire case manager, physical therapy for different things for different students' supports. So sometimes there's things that aren't in the original budget and then students come in or things get shifted around and we have to add those services and make sure things are covered. But the biggest increase there in the services was the utilities, the electricity cost and the legal cost. And then the classified salaries, we had to add some paraeducator positions per IEPs. We also had 3 temporary IAs, and then we had, I think, 8 or 10 aides for our extended school year. Also, our sub-budget for our paraeducators was way over budget, around $30,000. We hired a Head Start aide, and then during negotiations, we reclassified some positions under the CSEA bargaining unit. So that also was part of that cost. So you'll see that there because we had done a compensation study, and in order for our positions to remain competitive, we reclassified, I think, 6 different positions. And I'm gonna just go through the next slides because I cover everything that's on the snapshot, but I just wanted to have it be side by side. So our revenues here, you can see the big bulk of our revenue is the LCFF funding. Just to point out right out the gate that our LCFF funding was around $40,000 less than the previous fiscal year. So that's due to our lower ADA average. And then our federal funds was a big chunk of that made our overall revenue down because we didn't have the COVID funds like we did in 23-24. And we use those COVID funds for a lot of things like the case manager or different services and providers. So, and some capital projects. So that just made it a little bit more challenging, having less revenues, and then as you could see on the previous slide, having more expenses. So you're not having more revenue to offset the increase in the expenses. And then this slide, it looks a little confusing there with the colored numbers, but I wanted to show the difference between the previous fiscal year and the current fiscal year. So, and any of the blue numbers are numbers where the budget went down from the previous year, and then the purple are ones that went up. So again, that matches the snapshot where the services and operating expenditures, the blue piece of the pie, it was more this year, and then the classified salaries. And then the other areas, the biggest change there at the top is capital outlay, but being that we didn't have the COVID funds, we weren't doing as many capital projects like we did in the past with the cameras and the locks, devices, all the big projects we did during those 3 or 4 years when we had the extra COVID funding. So usually we have around 100,000 we set aside for capital outlay. That could be like a roof or paving or a big facilities repair. This past year, we used it to finish up the lock project, as well as we got a vehicle that was used for student transport. And we had gotten some buses and electrical grounds equipment, but we had grants that helped offset most of the cost of those. This slide's always important to have because it shows the picture of the district in terms of why is our LCFF funding going down. If you look back to over 10 years ago, when we had 850 students enrolled, and then our ADA was 817. That's pretty close to being only about a 30 difference. So we used to have our enrollment and our attendance, be a small variance. Whereas now we're projected at having 773 students, and the ADA is about 50 less than that, and that's pretty generous. Because if you look at the 24-25 year, our enrollment was 794, and then our ADA at P2 came in at 732, so that's a variance of 60. So if you look at that as we're getting funded on the average attendance, and then if our attendance isn't strong, that affects how we're being funded, and as the years go on, and now this year we're down enrollment right out the gate, 20 less or 30 less than we ended last year with, and it's roughly around 11 to 12,000 a student in LCFF funding. So if there's 60 difference there, and you can do the math and know that's substantial in terms of what revenues we have coming in, it really is affected. And they have tried to pass legislation to have the funding be based on enrollment, not the ADA, but nothing has gotten past the floor on that. But we're seeing that, and this isn't just our district, districts across the state, which you'll see on another slide I'm going to show, are down in enrollment. California birth rates are down, and it's projecting to keep going down in terms of enrollment. So it's not something about our area or our schools or anything. Everything we have is really great up here. It's just a lot less people are having kids, or people are moving out of California. So you can see that here on this slide. I stole this from my budget revise conference in May, the May revise. But you can see there the enrollment projections for the state. So since just 2018, it's dropped by about 6%, but in 10 years from now, they're saying it's going to be going down 16%. So, even though we had 2 TK classes coming in this year, we're down, in the other grades where we used to have bigger class sizes, or maybe we had 4 middle school classes that was SUMA. This year there's 3, or we're seeing smaller classes. For some of the grades. Some of them are bigger, but overall being down, and that's just the trend in the state with people maybe just having one child or not having kids till later. So it's going to be an issue that's going to continue for our district unless all of a sudden we thought maybe having these apartments was going to bring in a lot of kids. And I know in the office they were like, oh yeah, 6 more kids signed up today from the apartments, but still overall we're down. So it really wasn't. It was just net. It wasn't anything extra. So this is always my big soapbox that I get on with special education because we're funded so minimally, and we have whatever extra we have to contribute to that program comes out of our main LCFF funds, our unrestricted budget. So for routine restricted maintenance, we're required to put in 3% of your expenses. So it's just a simple formula. So as the expenses increased over the year, by the time we get to the actual, to the end of the year, we had to contribute a little more on that, so that was a small change. But special education, when we adopted our budget in June of 2024, we had budgeted around $1,589,428. We ended the year with $1,711,792. So that's the biggest increase there that you see in the difference at the bottom. And all students have right to school and services, but the thing is, we received $300,000 in special ed funding. So if our program costs $1.7 million, we're making up $1.4 million of that, based on, that's federal and state we receive. Federal is $69,000 special ed funding, and then the state is the rest of that, the $330,000 or $230,000, I'm sorry. So overall, if we're only not even getting we're just getting a small percent of the funding that's needed for the program, and our hands are tied because, of course, we have to offer the services and hire the paras, hire the teachers as our numbers are growing, but there isn't any additional funding that is given to schools to offset that. So anytime we have the contribution, it means it comes out of our regular, general fund where all of our other items and salaries and books and everything is budgeted. So it takes from that without having any kind of additional funding coming in. And ever since I started here, it was around $800,000 our special education program cost. So now we're at almost $1 million more than that. And this year we've already even posted 4 paraeducator positions that we had to add because of student services required in IEPs. So we can't not hire the staff that the IEPs require. So it's really hard without getting that additional funding to support those increases. So our ending fund balance, when we met in June and we adopted the budget, this happens every year, it's an estimate of what the year looks like it's going to end at, and then the actual ending fund balance. And I've covered a little bit in the other slides, but in other years, the difference was a positive where we had extra. This year, we're at a deficit. As I mentioned, it was the electricity, the legal, our special ed pre-K grant was cut in half. Our LCFF funding went down, and a lot of our sub-budgets, not just classified but certificated, every classified and certificated, were way over what they normally were in a normal year. When we build the budget, we just do kind of an average of that cost, and then if people are out every day all the time, well, that budget's going to go up. So that's another issue that we had faced. And also then I mentioned the service budgets, like the case manager, the physical therapist, the nurse, all the programs that part of the different due process services. And as I've said, the students, of course, are entitled to those services, but we don't receive any funding to support those costs. So when we build the budget and we say, oh, last year we spent about $20,000 on those kind of services, and then we end the year and we spent $160,000 on those services, we didn't get any extra funding, so that eats into our ending balance. The biggest change was in the restricted balance, and that's usually a balance that's just for specific programs. But some of the things that were listed above, at the end of the year when I load everything and start working on the budget, and then I see with a true picture of where it's at, and then I was like, oh shoot, because it was short and we didn't meet our reserve. So at that point, we have to pivot and try to move, okay, well, this restricted budget can be used for this. Maybe we can put this position here, or we can put these services here. And it's really just a lot of juggling and scrambling, because if I come to this meeting and say, oh, we didn't meet our reserve, our budget isn't positive, then we can't pass the budget and the state will come in and take over. So we don't want that to happen. But each year, ever since COVID funds, this is what we've had to do. We would, at the end of the year, we could move things to some of those one-time funds, those restricted funds, to try to just stay where we're at. And we're running out of options for that in terms of those restricted funds they're gone. And we're not receiving any new. I mean, we're getting a small one-time grant that's about $200,000, but not like the level of the COVID funds where it was $7 million. So it's really going to be a challenge going forward, because if you look at our district and our students and our staff, there's all these things that we need to have, But if we're not receiving the funding for all that, we're really gonna have to make some hard decisions. But we did meet our restricted balance, the reserve, the 4% required reserve, and we only have a little bit over that. But our reserve is supposed to cover your monthly expenses in case there was an emergency or something. Let's say they withheld our monthly allocation. And right now, that our monthly expenses, well, you'll see on the payroll payment order you approved in the consent agenda, it was over 700,000. And then plus the accounts payable. Our monthly bills, it could be anything from our health insurance bill to our electric bill. We are not gonna have enough in our reserve, but this has been the story for the last few years, with our ending balance just dwindling and we're deficit spending. So I'm not trying to be negative, but I just have to be realistic as well. You'll see another item on the agenda for the CEA waiver. This is something every year since COVID. It's been since 2019 that we haven't met CEA. CEA is the 60% requirement, that 60% of your salary and benefits have to be spent on classroom instruction. We'll cover that a little more in the next item on the agenda, but I just wanted to show you this slide from school services showing each year all the districts that are not meeting CEA, and actually in our county, when I asked, everybody's getting a waiver. So everybody's in the same boat. It doesn't matter high school, elementary district. Again, it's even if you're giving raises and you're increasing services, your other expenses are higher, and that's the denominator. So and it's an old formula, so it makes it hard to meet. But I just wanted to show this because last year it was 57% of districts that didn't meet CEA. And these slides, I just got this from a recent conference that I went online, but it's always a year in arrears, so we still don't, we won't know actually the number. I'd be curious to see for 24, 25. I'm guessing it's probably higher than the 59%. So if anyone has questions, the auditors are going to visit at the end of October. We've been working all summer on the audit since July. It's all virtual right now, where there's been around 80 items we've uploaded, different reports and things they're requiring for the different funding sources. And then they finally will visit in October to look through any of the last independent study agreements, warrants, whatever they're sampling at that time. And then in December, we'll have the first interim report to see where we're at now. That is what makes me a little nervous now, because the deficit rolling into this year, but then we added stuff this year. It's going to be tight, and hoping that we can meet that reserve. There isn't more stuff to move around, so it's really something we're going to have to sit down with our community partners and take a serious look at what we are offering and what we can sustain.
I have a question about the PG&E. Was that something that last year it was just quite a bit less, so the budget moving forward was less, and then you just got a big surprise with that?
No, what it is when I build the budget, I roll everything over, and then I look at the average, like how much was spent, and then usually I try to put a little extra, but the rate, the PG&E rate, I want to say, I can't remember what it was at this past year, but it was maybe 20, 30 cents more per kilowatt hour than when we built the budget. So if it went from like 47 cents to 70 cents or whatever. And then, that's why I put on the slide, I highlighted yellow, like people maybe turn off your AC if you go home on the weekend, or turn off your heat, over breaks, because it was crazy the amount of usage we had per norm compared to normal years. Another issue was our solar system that we have out at Wasuma was down for about 6 months. So having that in place, we purchased the power from the solar at a fixed rate, which is only 19 cents a kilowatt hour for Wasuma. So instead, the Wasuma bill was way higher too, because it wasn't running off the solar. We were having to pay PG&E directly. So it was a combination of things. But I think just the higher rate, and then there was just a lot more usage. We've talked about maybe putting in some digital thermostats and having a way to control those remotely. Or maybe just having like a campaign that goes out with principals and their staff, like, don't forget, set it, forget it, or the opposite of that, don't set it. We did switch over for our gas, and we saw some savings on that end, but yeah, the electricity, and the rates do just continue to rise. I mean, I'm sure you see that at home too as well with your own PG&E, and there's no special rate for schools or anything. I don't know, I was really surprised because I always try to put a little extra there. And then when I go to close out the fiscal year, I think what happened in second interim, it was over budget, and I left it as it was, and I should have added like another 60,000 each line to get us through the end of the year. Yeah, so it was a combination of things.
The smart thermostats are really good because you can program it,
Yeah, and that's what James and I were talking about, our new maintenance manager, and then he could
control it on your phone, but you could set it like during school hours,
Yeah.
off on the weekends. You could program it for the whole entire year to avoid the non-usage days.
Yeah, because we don't want it to be like set at a number of people can't change it, but at least if it could in the off hours, not be running. I mean, I've gone into places over the summer and it's like 68 degrees, in the gym at OCI or at OES, and I'm like thinking, does that, could it run at 80 during the summer if no one's using it? Just looking at ways to save, but then if we did something like that with the thermostats, it would be costly on this end. So we probably need to look into some grants or see kind of what's out there to help us get going with that, or even if just some of the bigger facilities had them versus the classrooms. But yeah, it was pretty tough right now.
Thank you, Brian, work on that. Yeah, thank you. So we are approving this, correct? Yeah, so roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye. Next item D is approve the 2024-2025 CEA waiver. Is there a motion to approve this?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
So this, I have attached, you have to have a waiver explanation and an application. Basically, all the information is here in on the agenda, but it's, as I discussed on one of the slides, it's our total cost of classroom compensation over all the other expenses. So even though our salaries for instruction, all the salaries increased 17% in the last 4 years, so that's each year's raise added together. The total cost of expenses rose higher, so the things like utilities, cost of books, supplies, staff, services, fuel, any of that goes in the denominator there. So if your costs are rising for all your other expenses, it doesn't matter if you have negotiated raises and you're trying to be paying your classroom staff, and that includes aides and teachers, at a competitive rate. This is a percent, as I mentioned before, this measurement is from 1972, so it's antiquated. It takes out a lot of things that are important, that are part of the cost of instruction. I did want to point out last year, our CEA percentage was 49.57%. And this year it's 52%. So it did at least get a little bit better. It was, it's 1.1 million that could be withheld from the district if we don't have the waiver that you approve and the county will approve. But last year it was 1,989,000. So I try to find a positive in everything. That's kind of how I survive. So I was just happy to see that at least the percent got a little closer to the 60 from 49 to go to the 52, and the cost got a little closer there. But if basically, like I said, if you don't approve, or if the county doesn't approve the waiver, then they could say, we're going to take these funds back. As you've heard from my presentation, we can't take that risk to not have that. But these years since post-COVID, and it was worse last year because we had a couple $1 million more in the bottom of the fraction because of the COVID fund. So we want, the county to approve that waiver. We don't want to have the funds withheld. And so this has become a regular thing. When I first worked here, I didn't realize, and we just met CEA, it was just a normal part of one of my forms that I do for the budget period. And then I'm thinking, then it became a whole nother layer of things to prepare by not meeting it. But of course, we don't want to be in that situation, but a lot of districts are, and you need that waiver.
Any questions on this? Okay, roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye. And thank you, Tara, for all your hard work on all kids' positions. Thank you. Next item is approve the VLJU ESD Board Governance Calendar. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve the calendar.
I'll second.
One thing I did want to point out on the calendar is that, and I know this is a living document, but back to school nights are listed in September, but those are happening in August. So if those could be moved over to August, which would be helpful for us.
Got it?
And we also talked about the board self-evaluation, which we did this last time in July. Weren't we gonna keep it in July?
Yeah, because usually we don't meet in July.
Yeah, we don't usually meet in July.
I mean, we're doing our workshop.
Well, I thought we would do the evaluation at the same time as the workshop, unless you guys don't want to meet in July, but.
Well, we're gonna do a workshop anyway. You guys want the evaluation in July?
If we're doing the workshop, I agree. If we're already doing the workshop, we might as well do the evaluation at the same time. Are we gonna have 2 meetings? No. Well, we did, no.
Do you want me to like have that typed on there? Do you want that? Or just do we know that that's part of the workshop?
Well, I guess if it's a calendar and this is, if we're gonna do our self-evaluation in July, then we should just put it in July.
That's great. Good job.
So wait, do you remember this?
Yes.
With all the arrows and the highlights? So Larissa and I looked at that and moved things based on our discussion. And then when we were doing that, we found some other things that made sense to move. And then we also recognize that there are items on this calendar that are not necessarily agenda items, but certainly would be good to have on here as reminders and know what's happening when. So the items with the asterisk are agenda items, and the other things are just events or things that we need to remember to do in those months. So I thought that would be helpful to kind of delineate that a little bit. So,
I have,
Great.
point of clarification. You were talking about the board self-evaluation and what was when?
This past time, we did it in July with the part of the workshop, so.
oh, it's on here in April.
In April.
I know, that's why I'm
So
asking.
you want it in July.
I personally do.
But can we, would you be open to, leaving it in April so that we do the, survey in April so that we're prepared with data for July
Oh, yeah, that's great.
That's a good idea.
or May?
So maybe it needs to say like conduct, evaluate, or, right, and then discuss.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just a thought, and then.
Yeah.
If we plan on doing our own training again next year, do we wanna do the governance handbook review during the training? Or, I know it's a living document as well, so I was just bringing up other things that influence what you guys already talked about.
During which training?
The one that we're gonna have in October.
Oh, that's our retreat.
Oh, I'm not gonna be relaxing.
The retreat, the vacation?
We're calling it.
The retreat.
We're trying to save the district money, but instead of going to
Why
the
is it we call it a
annual
retreat?
education.
Cause I
It's like
need a
a
massage when I go to retreat.
That's
I
what
know, it's like a conference or a seminar.
Yeah.
It's more of a seminar.
It's training.
Training, yeah.
Okay, well, we can discuss this probably at our training
We
retreat.
can, however, board self-evaluation is on April and May.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So,
Was
It's
it
a lot of
because,
evaluation.
yeah, well, yeah, okay, I was just thinking that because we initially get the evaluation and then we submit it, and then we get the information later, so I was wondering if that's why it was on there.
Yeah, I think we probably only need it once, and then we're gonna discuss it in July, if we're gonna do it in May. I mean, even though this is a living document, we want it to reflect what we're actually doing.
Yeah, and it is kind of it's guiding us, right? So
Yeah.
is May okay with everybody? To conduct the self-evaluation and then discuss it at our workshop in July? Okay. Noted.
Thank you. Okay, so did we do a roll call vote? No. Julie?
Aye.
Aye. Item 9, information items. We have an enrollment report.
Clicked on the wrong thing, sorry. I like that calendar, by the way, that's gonna be helpful. So at the last meeting, we were at 773, this time we're at 770. It's up a few in Bliss, and then some minimal changes at the sites. Just kind of usually fluctuates but throughout the year, but I was kind of hoping it would fluctuate in the other direction.
Can you remind us, what you base our budget on, enrollment wise?
Well, when we built the budget, we were using what we ended the year, which was 803. So, yeah, so then that's why with first interim, we'll have to revise, but it's an average, and then but you are funded on your ADA, and it's a 3-year average. So we ended the year last year with our ADA was 732, but in that 3-year average, we got funded at 749 ADA. But yeah, it'll still, the ADA is always less than the enrollment, so that number will probably go down even with the 3-year average.
Thank you.
Item B is the inter-district transfer reports.
So we've had 4 students transfer out, and 2 went to Chawanakee and 2 to Mariposa.
It's almost the net of the enrollment, it was 3 less, but 1 more.
Item C is academic achievement.
I don't have really anything to report. I'll have some iReady data next month. And probably not CASP until, it'll be close, whether or not it comes out in time for me to put something together for our meeting. So that might not be till November.
Item D is the first reading of proposed board policy and administrative regulations. 50 proposed policies. Any questions on any of those? So I do have concerns, as I had mentioned earlier. There's several Title IX sexual harassment complaint procedures, as well as another one. Well, there's 2 of those. Let's see. I'm scrolling down through all of these. Several on sexual harassment. Athletic competition. At least those, if the current administration, as I was mentioning, the U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, according to a U.S. District Court judge in Kentucky, he vacated the entirety of the Biden administration's 2024 Title IX rule nationwide. And so this letter, which I gave the board and Michelle, dated February 4, 2025, indicates that this is immediately effective and no portion of the 2024 Title IX rule is now in effect in any jurisdiction. So I don't know how we can be passing these policies if they are in contradiction to that ruling.
So we're talking about sex-based discrimination?
There's one athletics, and so some of these policies talk about males, biological males going to female restrooms and vice versa, as well as locker rooms. The one at the athletics is about allowing, opposite sex to competitive sports. So I don't know how CSBA thinks that we can approve these if it's in violation of the new Title IX.
Well, they have a lot of attorneys
Yeah.
and, you know,
We
they're
also have
looking at.
California law. on
Yeah.
top of it.
So, I mean, without having some time to look at what you gave me a few minutes before the meeting to look at that and digest it and look at these and do some research, I certainly can do that. However, I know that it wouldn't be a policy up for an update and an approval without it being vetted through Ed Code and law, right? The attorneys that send us this through Gamut and CSBA. But I certainly can look into it.
Yeah, it's a good question, for sure.
I just also, would hope that we would open our mind a little bit, and I think that there's this male, female, and those are the only two sexes, but there is intersex. There are 1% to 2% of the population is intersex. They're not male or female, they have both chromosomal hormones, okay? And 1% to 2% of the population is redhead. How many of us know redheads? I know redheads, you know redheads. So it's not as easy as trans and these people are choosing to be male or female. There is biological happenings to some people that we don't know about. And so I feel like the law is trying to protect everybody and those people. And I get it's like, non-trans and they don't want boys playing girl sports and whatever, but I just implore you to, research that and know that there are people out there biologically that are not male or female or have testes and a uterus. It happens. And so
That's probably extremely small.
1% to 2%, again, redheads, 1% to 2% of the population is redhead, and so is 1% to 2% of the population is intersex. So
Regardless,
we
I'm
just
sure.
need to open our mind because we have students in our district that we need to support all of our kids.
That's fine.
And I think the laws are just trying to protect them, and so.
We need privacy for all children in the restroom, and I think parents are gonna be, most parents are too happy about a girl going into a boys' bathroom and vice versa. I sure as heck.
It's been a conversation.
Well, we
for
have
years
to be
and
careful with what we say. We need to stay nonpartisan, right? Like when you're sitting here as a board member and I'm sitting here as a superintendent, we need to follow the law, right? And we need to make sure that we're making things accessible for all of our students per the law, right? Of course, there are situations within the guidelines of the law where we can make accommodations and we can make sure that our students and our families feel as comfortable as they can, right? So I will look into what you gave me, but I trust that what's in front of us with these policy revisions have been vetted by attorneys and are following Ed Code and state and federal law. So.
And we want to be in compliance because we don't want to have any more legal issues
Right.
either. That's the key thing. And if we want to research this and look into all that, that's going to be legal fees too.
Right. We have also discussed in this forum how we have dealt with these situations, these sensitive topics with families, that the families come to us, that we're working in collaboration. So I don't want it to seem as if we don't have our finger on the pulse of these situations and these sensitive topics within our district. And that it's just, mayhem going on in the schools and boys are going into the girls' bathrooms and girls going to the boys' bathrooms. That's not what's happening. So we need to be clear about what's actually happening within our district and how we are handling these topics.
Yes. We have exceptional professionals that are
Yes.
walking through those things with our students and families regularly and doing a fantastic job with it.
And as a board, we're supposed to support the families and the students and make it easier for them, not more difficult.
Does anyone have any comments on any of the other 50 policies?
I did notice that we have brand new an AI policy 0441. Was happy to see that on the list.
Yes, and we have been looking at our student and teacher use agreements to incorporate AI into that. And the principals and I will be discussing that at our next principal meeting. And we're making sure that what's in there is tied to policy.
And our handbooks will be updated to reflect.
Correct.
Thank you.
Next item E is schedule the board workshop for October 11th or the 25th.
Do we ever?
I like to vote for the 25th.
For what?
The 25th.
I was gonna vote for the 11th.
I can't. I
You
said
guys
I can't.
You
do
can
the
thumb
11th.
wrestle.
I know we said to keep those 2 days open and then.
I know, but I had the wrong days down there on me. I had the 11th and the 18th.
Oh, right.
Yeah, all right. 25th it is. You got for you?
I prefer the 25th.
All right.
And
I'm outvoted as a democracy.
consensus.
thank you for taking that
Is that,
very professionally and politely. I did put in front of you a printout of the book, The Culture Code. So I ordered these books today and I'm gonna get them to you, and this is what we will discuss when we meet. And I still have not heard back from the principal that I'd like to come speak to us. That'll tie in very nicely with this book. So now that we have, I asked her to pencil in both of those dates and she said she would, so fingers crossed. I will let her know that it's the 25th. And
and what time are we doing? It's a Saturday, right?
Yeah, was this all day or?
What time?
it's like 16 hours.
From dawn to dusk.
Just a regular
We
Tuesday.
haven't decided on that yet. I know Denise and I spoke. You were gonna look into
The venue.
a venue up near the lake. It's gonna have to be agendized, right? And so it needs to be a public setting. But I thought maybe we can do it up there and then afterwards maybe go get some lunch. And then,
So I'm hearing half day and at lunch.
my guess, I would say put in your mind probably 4 hours.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Around
but
4
our
hours.
homework
I
is we
was
gotta read
thinking
this book
8.
first.
I mean, we can go 8, but
Let's do
We're
8
gonna read
to
this-
12 and then 1 to 5.
Julie, what are you talking about?
We have a lot of
She
work
really
to
do.
do. We worked over the summer during
There's
July,
snacks.
like,
We have had more meetings. No, it's fine. I'm fine, whatever.
because we're productive and we're gonna get things done.
we will figure out a time.
Okay.
Once
All
we have a venue more in mind and what the time frame is for that.
But you are gonna get this and we're supposed to read this before that meeting, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you
All
need
right.
to read that before
Just
the
double
meeting.
checking on my homework assignment here.
The books are due to arrive Friday, so I will get those to you
Okay.
as soon as I have them. And
Sorry about
that's that.
Okay, so item 10, we are going to talk about accomplishments and other reasons to celebrate from throughout the district. And we have Mr. McGrew from Oak Creek Intermediate presenting.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let's see.
I like the windbreaker.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know. How
I
do
was
we
looking
get
at my
swag?
office and found it.
Some pretty good merch you got going there,
Yeah.
McGrew.
Tell you what, yes, everybody should have one. That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on one moment, please. What's the name of this place, Stephanie? Is it?
We're at,
All right. Oh, here we go, yeah. It's from here. Okay, good. Alrighty. Okay,
we're gonna be
so here we are. We're-
Really, Alice in
All right, we're here
Wonderland of you.
to-
Thank you.
Okay, so we've had a lot of things going on, but a lot of them are just kind of start off to school kind of stuff. Ms. Townsend was talking about the Williams visit and the compliance part of that. We had that going on. It doesn't really lend itself to pictures a whole lot. But so I'll talk about a few other things after I go through this. But this is kind of just a slice of life here at Oak Creek Intermediate. So some pictures of people in classrooms, out at the playground, buying some snacks, playing tetherball, basketball, doing their thing. So I reported last time I was here that things were going well and the feeling on campus was positive. That remains. Some of the students are getting a little more comfortable. And so I'm helping them be a little less comfortable on occasion. But you know, it's going well and that's good. And the overall kind of feeling of the whole thing is positive. And that's.
It's a vibe. It's called a vibe.
Hey,
It's a little too much for right now. Yeah, can't do it. So here are different staff members. We have, this is George Jorge. He's our, over here. He's our intern psychologist with Karen O'Hearn. We got all sorts of people. Even I made this one here with Mr. Peterson. So it's been good to still have our nurse on campus. It's good to have Mikey back. And, you know, the staff's they're all smiling here and everything, but they're actually smiling most of the time, which is really nice. And things are good. It's feeling good. It's got a good, what's that word? I can't remember.
Vibe.
Oh. I couldn't help myself. We have the YHS homecoming is coming up on Friday, which is about a month earlier than usual. So it's really kind of put the hurt on us. So even I am helping make some of the stuff. But we have kids pulling together stuff. We have some community members, all sorts of things going on. The theme this year is New York. And so we're doing like a New York skyline kind of deal and King Kong, and then our, our coyote and the badger, and then, somehow or another we'll work in all the other mascots and have them be in jail or something like that, like we did last year. It's fun. Here's right now we have girls volleyball and boys flag football going on. And we have an A, a B, and a C team for girls volleyball. Wow. And Mrs. Longcourt's been coaching that with some help from a couple parents. It's been going well. She's got it broken down to that, where the A and the B typically play. The C plays in with the B after the other games. And she has practice for the A and B teams on Tuesday, and then A, B, and C on Thursday. And they've been even meeting in her room at lunchtime on Wednesdays to watch some volleyball videos and things like that, so she can help give them, have them look at some skills that are kind of hard to recreate during a practice, especially with so many young ladies out there. So that's been good. They've been having a good time. And there's some people playing who haven't normally played sports, and so that's very cool. And she found that way to be able to keep it where no one needed to be cut, and everybody could play. Football also, we don't have an A, B, and C, but we have a ton of players. I think we have 18 players on the A team, 18 players on the A team. So that's at least two teams, it's a little over two teams right there. So they've been having a good time and playing well. We had our two first games at home, and this week we go down to Hillside. It's a long drive, but we'll get down there. Up next, we've been having some lunch outside. We've been having lunch inside, depending on everything. Clearly the smoke and all that kind of stuff's been a factor, but when we have home games, it's easier if we can have lunch outside, because then we can have the gym all set up and ready to go. We don't have to clean it up, and we can get right to playing. So it gives our girls, in this case, more playtime. We've been having awesome lunches, fresh fruit. I mean, these are just kind of stock photos and things, but Bethany and the crew have been serving like strawberries and blueberries and blackberries. Also, I mean, good stuff. And she's getting, I'm sure you guys are aware, but more equipment to be making more things from scratch, which tastes better and it's better for you and it's cheaper and all the good stuff. So they've been doing a great job, and so it's been good to work with them also. And the kids are really enjoying having a wider variety of lunch and having different options like that. And breakfast has been going very well also. Our electives, we have, let's see, up in the upper left, we have Lego robotics going on. In the lower left, we have Miss Dent with theater. I cannot tell you what these young men are doing right here in the middle. Don't know. But over here in the upper right, we have, I believe, oh no, okay. So that is a rockets class where they start off by making like even air propelled rockets, but then end up with rockets that shoot up, have little motors, and they're pretty cool. And then again, oh, okay, here's some kiddos also in Lego robotics, the lower right. And I won't use the word finally, but happily, we have bands now. And so this is some of our students getting into band. Our band teachers is great. The kids are happy to have it. We have 19 or 20 kids in band in the elective right now. I think it just went up to 20 today because we just got a new student in and he's a band member. So that's cool. We have a decent sized room for them. And as far as I know, we have all of the instruments and things like that we need. We'll definitely need to be doing some ordering when it comes to music stands and chairs and things like that. But David's been very easy to work with, and I keep asking him, like, when we want to order this stuff, what do we need? And he's like, oh, he's super, super, super mellow. And like, he's just like, whenever, whatever. I'm like, all right, well, you're gonna need to let me know because I don't know what we need or what, but he's very good, and that's neat. Okay, stay tuned. We have a lot of other things. The Williams report went really well, in my opinion. I got the written report a little bit ago. The things that we didn't fall short on were things we didn't fall short on any of the curriculum things. We didn't. The one safety issue that got brought up were some Chromebook plugs that were out on the ground as a tripping hazard. Super easy fix on that kind of stuff. I need to document what we've done and send it all in with them in a nice tidy package, but it's pretty straightforward. There were some tiles missing from one of the restrooms we're gonna fix up. There's some broken concrete that we already have a bid on, that it's actually about 30 by 40 feet, maybe a little bit bigger, that's just beat up. And we've been doing a lot of work around there. We have tons of joints in the concrete on campus. And so this was poured, and that was poured, and this one over here, and then there's a tree here that's pushing that one up. And so we have all these offsets, and they've been dangerous. So over the past couple of years, we've really worked on, and I guess it was this summer, someone came in and ground a bunch of them down. So it takes that lip away, and it's much safer. This is out on the playground, and we'll get a fresh slab of concrete out there. We'll be able to true up the sides. It won't be broken on the edges. It'll be much nicer for sure. So it'll be easy fixes. We had a couple of kids who said they didn't have internet, so I'm looking into that right now. That was, quite frankly, a surprise. But it also pointed out to me that that's an active step that I need to take at the beginning of the year, is to make sure that people have internet. Because I was like, wow, they didn't say anything. And then I also, the next thought was, I didn't ask anything. So that'll make it to the menu next year, is to make sure that the students have the internet. There were 6 or 7 students who reported that. I think a couple of them were probably jumping on the bandwagon, but there were a couple without. So we'll get all that stuff taken care of. I don't know, you want to have some fun, come over to the YHS Friday morning about 10:30 or something. We're having the parade going on over there. Should be fun. Lots of candy. We put out for the parents to donate candy for us to be able to throw out, and they come through big time on that. So that's awesome. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report.
Just a couple things to piggyback on what Tim was saying. I just wanted to say thank you so much to principals and teachers and maintenance staff for doing everything they needed to do for the Williams monitoring. It was new to everybody. And I know teachers had to take things down from up high, and take things home and move things around. And so it was a big ask of everyone, and everybody did great and pitched in, so thank you. And McSauce, I believe they're coming to our November board meeting to present the reports. That's my understanding. If they're not here in person, for sure, I'll have the reports to present to the board. But overall, everybody did great for first rodeo, if you will. Yeah, so it was good. And then I wanted to also say thank you to food services. I know 2 or 3 weekends ago, we had the power went out on a Saturday. And so Bethany was great. And Tara and I worked with her on that Sunday. She came up, checked our temperatures of our freezers and our refrigerators, and figured out what needed to be thrown away and did an inventory. So hopefully we can do a claim. Depending on the dollar amount, we may or may not get some of that money back. But she was a great team player and helped to do that and made sure that we had what we needed to feed students on Monday. So, all of those kinds of things that happen in the background. We have wonderful people like Bethany and all of our departments that are always willing to step up and help out, make sure it just keeps going on, that the play keeps going. So I just wanted to say thank you to them and to everybody else with the Williams. So that's all I have.
Board member comments, Julie?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Me either. I haven't done anything. Really? I haven't done these. I have several comments. First of all, I volunteered in the garden at Westinghouse this week. We talked about corn, and they made bug traps, and I was at the berry station. So I got to use a really corny joke saying, "Have a very good day."
Nice.
Went over really well, honestly. And I got to use it multiple times because we have lots of groups. So, and so that was a really fun day, and it's really neat too to see the kids interact in the garden. I don't even know about how our food's grown, and I'm an adult. And so it's really neat to see these kids learning at such a young age where their food comes from, what it looks like, learning that the berries are a flower first, and they need the bees for pollination, all these things. So I learned a lot. And the kids did too, and it's so neat to see them being able to actually go find the flowers in the strawberry patch and see, they're actually seeing that life cycle happening in real time. So it's a wonderful program, and seeing the seeds that we planted in the spring now are making giant pumpkins, and so it's just such a neat program. So happy to volunteer there. And then today I began a master's in governance class. It's a series of classes. It's 5 modules that are 8 hours each. So these are all designed to help me become a better board member. So I had my first module today, and it was from 8:30 to 12:30, and I have another one tomorrow, 8:30 to 12:30, and it was phenomenal. Because those kinds of things, sometimes you're a little apprehensive, like, is this gonna be good, or is it gonna be an absolute snooze? But it wasn't at all. It was dynamic, the speakers were great. There were 40 other participants from around the state. We were in breakout sessions, we just had discussions, networked. It was just phenomenal. So I'm excited for the future and what this is gonna do for me as a board member and what I can potentially share and give back to our board. So I'm excited for that, and that's the end of my comments.
Wonderful. Well, I just am so happy to hear from our superintendent in closed session that things are going so smoothly in the district. So that's really wonderful to hear. We don't always hear good reports that way, so appreciate that. But since part of our responsibilities as board members to keep on top of legislation, I did want to bring forth information on Assembly Bill 495. It's called the Family Preparedness Plan Act of 2025. And so there were just some amendments made that the Senate made just the other day. But what this is, it was created with the intention to help immigrant children whose parents may be deported. And so the idea is to have a caregiver take over, and they fill out an affidavit, which you can see online. But the concern about this is the person who can take custody of the child. They can be a relative, but a very distant relative is what they're allowing. It's very broad. There's no parental notification required, no notary requirement. It grants the same rights as are given to guardians. It amends education code relating to immigration, that they can enroll minors in school and consent to medical care. So there's a big concern that this leaves the door wide open for abuse because there's no real control over this. Like I said, there's no court order. So there are about 5,000 people that attended one of the sessions in August. It was August 19th. And so the Senate just went ahead and pushed this through. So there's still an opportunity to contact our legislators and also Governor Newsom. So anyway, thank you for letting me share that, and hope everybody has a great night. Okay, and the next thing here, we have future agenda items. Anything?
I did want to mention something that was discussed today in one of my sessions was, ADA, attendance, all these things that we've been talking about tonight. And one of the presenters said that at each board meeting, they have attendance reports from the schools. And so each month, they receive a report of what the percentage is of the attendance for each school site within the district. And I would like to ask that maybe that's information that we receive, especially when we think about how the funding is tied to this and we're struggling with that. And so if we as a board can see a trend or we know what's going on.
We usually have that when we have the enrollment report. We have that ADA report, but we didn't have any data since school just started, but I usually include both on the agenda.
Okay.
So it has the attendance percentage and the enrollment on that report.
Okay.
But if you want something more detailed, I can look too.
No, as long as we have the percentages for each school, that would be really helpful. All right, thank you.
Anything else on future agenda items? No? Okay, next meeting date, I show October 8th. And looks like we will go ahead and adjourn. So we are ending at 7:19.